Today I'm going to go over how to do the single ribbon stitches in the Pfaff Creative Icon. I'm going to go over how to do them from a new person's point of view, as well as tips on how to get a great result each time. And these are some examples of what you can do with the ribbon stitches. They're just such gorgeous stitches. Now with the icon there are a number of tutorials with videos on board in the operating system. If you wanted to, you could review everything I'm doing today except the tips in the Open Help Center. From the home screen, when you open up your machine, this is your home screen, you touch Open Help Center. And if you touch the gold band that says Techniques and Tutorials, then Sewing Techniques, and let's go back to the beginning. It would look like this. You touch Techniques and Tutorials, Sewing Techniques, Exclusive Stitch Techniques, and then Single Ribbon Stitches to get the tutorial with the onboard video. But I'm going to go over all that plus the tips. So we're going to go back to our home screen by touching the home symbol down at the bottom, and then touch Start Sewing. Now we're in sewing mode. All the sewing stitches reside underneath this icon with the zigzag. You touch that. And there are literally hundreds of beautiful stitches in here. The ribbon stitches are in the 8th category called Techniques. And the first subcategory has the single ribbon stitches. The second category has double ribbon stitches. And the third category has triple, but we're just going to work on the single today. So these are the single ribbon stitches that are on the creative icon. I'm going to touch the stitched icon to close that so that we can, well, first of all I have to load the stitch. We'll go back to the techniques and touch the stitch that I want to load. And now we have the stitch loaded there. And what you're seeing here are the stitches that you're going to see in between the ribbons on the fabric. And these little dashed lines are the actual stitches that are connecting between each of these little designs. The green crosshair is where your needle will start. And this is good to know because these stitches actually are the path of the ribbon. So if you forget whether you put the ribbon from left to right or right to left when you start, you look here and you'll see that it goes left to right and your ribbon is going to go left to right. Also on the screen it tells you that the 2A foot is recommended. And this icon means that it recommends that you use stabilizer underneath your fabric. So now I'm going to put my fabric with the stabilizer in place. And I'm going to start by putting my needle down. That's this button. And this is a program stitch, which means that the machine is going to stitch a certain number of stitches and then pause for you to put the ribbon down. And because of that, we're going to use the Start-Stop button, because if we use the foot control, we could stop in the wrong place and get the stitch messed up. So we start by putting our needle down, then we hit the Start-Stop button. So you want to make sure that you put the needle down and push the Start-Stop button before you do anything with the ribbon, but once it does pause, you take the ribbon and put it in place from left to right. And if you look down inside of the plastic part of the foot, you'll see that I have the ribbon butting up against the side and the front of the needle. That's how you want the ribbon to lie. And I always keep my fingers just like this, so I'm holding the ribbon in place until it's tacked down by the first stitch. So I'm going to hit the Start-Stop button. When it stops, you take the ribbon, you flip it over, bring it across, and you want to make sure, again, looking through the plastic part of the top of the foot, that the ribbon is butting up against the side and front of the needle. Hit the Start button. When it stops, you flip it over, butt it up against the needle. So each time it stops, you just flip the ribbon, butt it up against the needle, hit the start-stop button. So this is a pretty simple stitch to do. The way that people will sometimes get messed up is if they don't start by putting the ribbon the right direction to begin with, or if they put the ribbon down before they hit the start button the first time, because if you'll recall, I started by putting the needle down, hit the start-stop button, and I didn't put the ribbon down until there were a few stitches on the fabric. The other way that people can go astray is when they flip the ribbon, they don't keep their finger here until it stitches down. They let the ribbon drift away from the needle a bit and they hit the start-stop button. So I'm going to do two the way that you don't get a great result. So you'll see the difference between the way I'm recommending and the way that some people have problems with the stitch. So I bring it over, but then I let it go. I don't hold it down with my finger. Again. So in a minute I'm going to show you what the difference is, but I want to show you one more tip. When this stops, when you're new to doing this technique, if you feel like you can't really see the ribbon well enough against the needle, if your needle is down, you can put your foot up, take a look, make sure it's where you want it to be, and then put the foot down. And that way you can be assured that it's where you want it each time. But now I'm going to take it out and show you the difference between holding the ribbon in place and letting it drift. So these first two stitches are lovely. That's the way it should look. If you let the ribbon drift away from the needle, you're going to end up seeing the connecting stitches, which doesn't look quite as pretty as those first two. And that's all there is to it.